Flight detainments and cancellations, missing luggage disrupt air trips over Canada Day-long weekend. Dressed in apparel from the former day, Michael and Patricia Bears stood in a long, snaking line among other trippers staying to check-in at Pearson International Airport on Saturday, except they had no plans to fly that day. The couple, who lives in Calgary, was in line to collect an alternate hostel testimonial after they were banged off their WestJet flight home while connecting through Toronto from Charlottetown. "We've had a gong show coming and going," said Bears, 65. The detention meant Bears had to cancel an MRI checkup on his reverse in Calgary and will have to stay another 3 months for a new appointment. The lapses were constant during their trip to the Maritimes. Their luggage arrived 2 days after they did. Coming home, their flight out of Prince Edward Island was late. And though they ran like hell to make their connecting flight, by the time they reached the gate, their seats had formally been reassigned. "It's insane," Ms. Bears said. "We should be home right now." The Canada Day-long weekend saw durability of summer trip chaos at Canada's major airfields, which have been pounded by a swell of trippers and a deficit of airline, security and customs workers. Some of the worst detainments were in Montreal and Toronto, where check-in lineups stretched to the entrances of the outstations. South of the border, the 4th of July long weekend led to airfields being jammed with their biggest crowd since the epidemic began in 2020. Because of the continuing field dislocations, last week Air Canada cancelled roughly 10 to 15% of its flight schedule for July and August, a pivotal period in which airlines make the importance of their profit. Air Canada has said some of the issues are beyond its control, as short-staffed airfields struggle to handle an immense quantum of baggage sitting in outstations. Canadian Airlines and field drivers have also criticized the city government for security staffing dearths that have created backups at webbing points. WestJet prophet Madison Kruger said the airline has tried to palliate stress on its system by consolidating some breakouts. "Despite our harmonious and visionary sweats, there remain significant functional challenges across the Canadian aeronautics ecosystem that fall outside of our control, contributing to significant detainments and at times cancellation," she said. Neither airline nor the Greater Toronto Airfields Authority, which operates Pearson Airport, had statistics available about the number of flight cancellations and detainments during the Canada Day weekend. Air Canada also said summer storms into northeast and Florida caused some detainments. Canada's 3 biggest airfields in Toronto, Vancouver and Montreal lost a combined $1.8 billion during the epidemic and have been forced to slash capital spending. In May, the civil government commits $330 million to attack detainments and lineups, but the issues have persisted. Airlines are regularly asking guests to arrive at airfields before usual to avoid missing their breakouts. McGill University aeronautics speaker John Gradke said Air Canada is prioritizing its decoration-priced transatlantic breakouts as part of its strategy to feed trippers. The airline flies guests from Chicago or other metropolises into Toronto or Montreal, where they're transferred to an overseas flight. Passengers from those breakouts were also caught up in the chaos at Canadian airfields on the weekend. Colleen Berry, an American who lives in Italy and was traveling to San Diego, said her Air Canada flight was delayed in Venice because of a lack of remittal crews, she was told, which led her and her family to miss their connection in Montreal. Ms. Berry described having no idea what would be next as she got off the airplane in Montreal since there had been no communication about alternate plans. Ultimately, they spent the night in Montreal in a hostel they paid for themselves before being rerouted to California through Vancouver. "There was nothing posted, there was nothing there to meet us and let us know what was passing, so we just sort of had to find our way ourselves with numerous other people doing the same thing," she said. Ms. Berry said she had allowed It Was Clever to book her flight through Canada months ago, after a former awful experience connecting through New York during the epidemic. "We'll go through Canada, what could go wrong?" she said. The family tried to make the stylish of it by tromping through town Montreal and leaving the field to sightsee in Vancouver during another 9-hour stopover. "We are getting to see 2 of Canada's most beautiful metropolises, so we are looking on the bright side," she said. Others in Montreal's crowded field were more dejected, similar to Lynn Audette, 59, who was staying for her hubby to return with news of their luggage. The couple returned from a trip to the Azores further than a week ago after a delayed connecting flight with Air Canada through Toronto. Her wallets did not. Now, Ms. Audette wonders if she'll ever see her luggage again. She said the experience has left her helpless, and she still doesn't indeed know what megacity her wallets are in. Last Saturday, when we landed, we waited an hour and a half in line just to report that we couldn't find our luggage, she said. We were suitable to have a nice trip, but there were long detainments far and wide, long lines, and it's a bit frustrating. Despite being Canada's second busiest, Vancouver International Airport was suitable to avoid unusual detainments this long weekend, according to Alyssa Smith, prophet for the Vancouver Airport Authority. Pearson serves numerous further connections, while further breakouts use Vancouver as an origin or destination point, she said. As Ms. Berry awaited her last flight to San Diego, she hoped Vancouver's relative calm meant she'd arrive at her destination soon. Her concern now is when she flies back through Canada on her way home to Italy in 3 weeks. We hope we won't have analogous detainments, as at that point we've to go back to work, she said. With reports from Eric Atkins in Associated Press, trip chaos, extreme rainfall and academy leaves beget long detainments at the Sydney field. Authorities prompt people to acclimate trip plans and avoid driving on Monday amid heavy rain and flooding in the corridor of NSW. Extreme rainfall, academy leaves, and staff dearths have caused long detainments at Sydney field again on Monday, with ranges stretching out the door for the third day. The field chaos comes as the State Emergency Service and the New South Wales government advised people not to travel on the roads if they don't have to on Monday because of the flooding and tempestuous rainfall affecting swathes of the state. The downtime leaves for utmost seminaries in NSW began on Monday, as the rearmost major flooding event struck the Lesser Sydney region, with further than 000 people under evacuation orders across the megacity and surrounds. We are working to get everyone on their way as snappily as possible, a prophet for Sydney field said on Twitter. Mondays are one of the busiest days at the field. Our advice is to arrive as close to 2 hours for domestic and 3 hours for transnational, as you may not be suitable to check in early. The field is awaiting a redundant 3 million trippers to pass through its outstations compared with the 1.8 million who came through during the original 21-day Academy vacation period in April. On Monday, the field released numbers showing passenger business and may recover to 69 of pre-COVID situations. Trippers flying at peak times during the day, including between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m. and about 3 p.m. in the autumn, are being told it's especially important they arrive on time. Sydney Field Master, Jeff Culbert, said our cast shows the July Academy leaves are going to be indeed busier than what we saw in April. It's atrocious to see the ongoing demand for air trips, but we won't sugar fleece the fact that the outstations will be busy during the Academy leaves, and there will be ranges. We're doing everything we can to get people on their way, including bringing a fresh 60 client service staff into the outstations every day to help manage ranges and bring passengers forward in order of flight precedence. The field is floundering to replace the 000 staff it laid off during the epidemic, with 000 places open across the field. The root cause of these challenges is that every business at the field is rebuilding its pool and doing it in the tightest jobs request in nearly half a century, Culbert said. We want to thank passengers in advance for their tolerance and assure them that if they get to the field at the advised time, we will be doing our utmost to get everyone on their flight. Flooding brought about by an East Seacoast low affecting the Sydney region, Illawarra and Hunter has contributed to the chaos, with the stormy rainfall meaning breakouts have been cancelled or delayed. The SES manager, Carlene York, said trippers should acclimate their vacation plans to stay safe and dry. We are not out of the peril yet with the significant rainfall event, York said. I would remind people, please make sensible opinions that keep you and your family safe and sensible opinions that don't put the deliverer's lives at threat as well, in responding to your request for backing. Adelaide Field also advised trippers that Friday 8th of July would be its busiest day since the launch of the epidemic, as Academy leaves start and 000 trippers pass through. Adelaide Field's principal superintendent, Brenton Cox, advised guests they would need to arrive 2 hours before their breakouts. Our security and client care brigades will be at full capacity to help grease guests from curb to gate. We anticipate that check heft and security ranges will be longer than people may have been preliminarily used to, he said in a statement. We have got a small favor to ask. Millions are turning to The Guardian for open, independent, quality news every day, and compendiums in 180 countries around the world now support us financially. We believe everyone deserves access to information that's predicated on wisdom and verity, and analysis embedded in authority and integrity. That's why we made a different choice to keep our reporting open for all compendiums, anyhow of where they live or what they can go to pay. This means further people can be better informed, united, and inspired to take meaningful action.